Right, net zero madness. Andrew Montford joins us now, director of Net Zero Watch. Bank of England's actually admitted net zero is driving up energy prices, as if we didn't know that. But do you think anyone's going to have a reality check? Because at the same time, all I keep hearing today is, well, it's the hottest 10 years on record. All that 1.5% that, whatever it is, degrees that we're not supposed to go above. We've now gone above it. It's cataclysmic. The world's going to catch on fire. And look what's happening in Los Angeles. I mean, the Bank of England turning around and saying, well, it's going to cost us money is not going to change the government's direction on this, is it?
No, I think our government is probably rather set in their ways. Mr. Miliband is not for turning. Whether the rest of his party feels the same way is another question altogether. I think there are people within the Labour Party now who are quite worried about Mr. Miliband's direction of travel, and I think he will come under increasing pressure to change. But yeah, there's no doubt that renewables are driving up energy prices. I mean, the carbon tax, which the Bank of England was talking about, costs the country, well, this year maybe £3 or £4 billion. So that's £100 per household. And then you add on all the other things that net zero puts onto your bills. So there's 10 billion or so of subsidies to renewables. There's all the costs of balancing the grid, which has soared. That's another couple of £1 billion. There's the fact that all our gas-fired fleet is really inefficient and old because nobody wants to build new gas-fired power stations because of all the renewables. That's costing billions of pounds more. It's hundreds of pounds for every single household in the country every year. Maybe as much. I would suggest it's probably getting on towards £1,000 a year per household at the moment. So yes, it's driving costs up, and the costs keep going up every time we look at the price cap, don't they? Miliband's been in control since July. And every time we've had a price cap revision since then, the cap's gone up. And it's going to keep going up. Now, whether the Labour Party can weather many more of these increases is another question altogether. I think next time we get some elections, some local elections or some by-elections, I think Labour could be in big trouble because people can't take the pain any longer.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think they know they're going to be in big trouble, which is why they want to cancel the May elections, it seems. Let's talk about the sort of nitty-gritty of this, because look, people are watching television today, seeing what's going on in Los Angeles. There's a huge debate raging online about whether this is a lack of policy making, and decent decisions, in fact, negligent decisions over in California, or those going, well, this is proof of the pudding, the world is on fire, literally. But when you look at legacy media, we're constantly told that this is all a settled science, climate change, and if we don't reduce carbon emissions, this is going to become commonplace, and frankly, the world is in trouble. So first of all, where are you on the sort of settled science argument? And this is a big comprehensive question. And secondly, can you contextualise where we're at when it comes to our emissions and global emissions?
Okay, so in terms of the settled science, no, it isn't settled at all. I mean, there's huge debate over almost every aspect of the climate system. The one thing that there probably is a degree of agreement on is that we really haven't seen very much by way in changes of extreme weather. This is the official position of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which publishes the reports on the state of the world's climate. They list all the major meteorological phenomena, and they tell you which ones they can detect a significant change in. And this is essentially almost nothing. It is essentially the global temperature, which is not extreme weather, if you like. It's just the temperature, and that's about it. There's almost nothing else. So the weather extremes aren't getting worse, and the idea that the fires in California are something to do with climate change is just a complete joke. I mean, it's ridiculous. Almost, fires are caused by, either by lightning strikes or arsonists. Most of these big fires in America and Australia that we've seen in recent years have been caused by arsonists. So, it's nothing to do with the climate, but it does make for good, scary television. And so, if you like, the ambulance chasing activists will use it to their benefit. But, we, if you like, in new media, can see through that, and we know what they're up to.
And in terms of our emissions then, because of course, we've got the Paris Accord and this, that and the other, this government and the previous government, Boris Johnson especially, signed us up to extremely punitive net zero targets that we'd be breaking international law if we didn't stick to them or some rubbish like that. But where are we when it comes to contributions to global emissions compared to countries like China, who seem to be chugging out whatever they want?
Yeah, so I mean, we are 1% of global emissions, so we are essentially an irrelevance. And as you correctly note, China and India as well are growing their emissions extremely quickly. So us as a percentage of global emissions is falling. We are essentially irrelevant, and nobody is following our lead. I mean, we've had 10 years or more of politicians saying we are going to show the rest of the world the way, and the rest of the world is looking at us and going, you must be mad. You've wrecked your economy. Why on earth would we want to follow you? So, global emissions will keep on going. As I say, we look around the climate, it doesn't seem to be getting any worse. And it's quite clear that the cost of trying to cut emissions is far worse than any cost of climate change. So, the rest of the world is quite rationally looking at the situation and saying, I think we'll just carry on the way we're going. We, on the other hand, are being completely irrational, and we are ploughing on with this utter madness. Super
briefly, because I've got to go to break very soon, it's about 30 seconds. Are we facing potentials of blackouts?
Yes, absolutely. It is really very tight, and there are plenty of power stations that may well come off the grid in the coming 2 or 3 years, and there's almost nothing to replace them. So, yeah, we could expect blackouts, I would say, in the next 2 years. That's me going out on a limb, as I don't think I've ever done so before, but it is now getting very worrying.
Well, here you go. Maybe candle manufacturing in the UK may have a revival. Andrew Montford, thank you ever so much, Director of Net Zero Watch, giving us a little bit of truth, shining the light of honesty onto a debate that's raging as hot as the Californian wildfires. Going to take a short break now, but